Welcome to What the F Midlife, where we say the quiet parts out loud, talk about what it really means to grow, stretch, and shift in midlife. I'm Chrissie Morgan, and I'm joined here by my co-host, Marva Silva. And today, we're wrapping up season 1 of the What the F series with a powerful truth. This is the season where people-pleasing ends. Yes, and personal power begins. We're driving into what happens when you stop living for everyone else's comfort and start living for your own alignment.
Yeah.
So pour something strong, coffee, tea, boundaries, and let's get into it. Hi, Marv.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good today. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited for this last episode. I feel like this is a good place to end the season.
Yeah.
With reclaiming your power.
Yeah.
A personal power, not control over others.
Yeah.
But your own authentic personal power.
Yeah. We mean it in a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah. In a good way.
Not oppression, but authenticity.
Yeah. Not forget everybody else. It's all about you. Not like that.
No, not at all. It's
Just to be clear. Yeah.
To be clear.
Yeah.
It's your power within yourself. Nothing really changes.
Yeah.
Other than how you feel about yourself.
Yes. And how you express yourself.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So let's start with, because we're going from people pleasing to that reclaiming your power.
Okay.
What does people pleasing look like to you?
If I have to go back and think about the past, because I'm not doing that anymore. Guess going to places with people that you'd rather not go, or even spending time with people you'd rather not spend time with.
Yeah.
You just don't know how to say no. You don't want people to dislike you or think you're difficult or not be a team player. But for the most part, you wouldn't say yes to a lot of these things because you're people pleasing, because you want people to like you.
Mm-hmm.
It's that
Like
outward gratification.
It's something that like, oh, I don't want to be left out. Or is it really, oh, I don't really want to go, but I should go.
All of the above. Yeah. Don't want to be left out because they won't ask me again if I say no this time, right?
They might not like me.
Yeah. So I better say yes now or I'll be cut out.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, no, I can see that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. But I mean, I know I spent a lot of time with a lot of people and was in a lot of situations that I just really didn't want to be in, but I didn't want to say no. I didn't know how to say no.
It's not even want to, it's a not knowing how.
Yes. I did not know, had no clue how to just be myself, my authentic self, and say, you know what? It's not for me, but thanks for the invite. Didn't know how to say that.
Yeah.
How easy was that?
So funny because now it's like, that doesn't sound like fun for me.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm actually going to just stay in tonight.
Yeah.
And it rolls off because
it's true.
It's true.
You don't have to come up with this big elaborate story about why you can't do this thing with this person. I just remember always kind of making excuses if I didn't want to do something with a certain person. Oh, I have to. I don't have a sitter.
Just saying no, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not going to work out.
Yeah. I just didn't know how to do that. I didn't know that I could do that because people pleaser.
But absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that many of us can relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think another big one of people pleasing is walking around on eggshells.
Mm-hmm.
Not in an abusive way, but like, oh, how's that person going to react?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's like that keeping the peace at
Yeah. Yeah.
So our nervous systems sort of start to blow out and you're kind of in this
Fight or flight.
Yeah,
Constantly.
that's what it is constantly staying in fight or flight. So no, ladies, that's actually a sign of people pleasing. Constant people pleasing is you're always in fight or flight because you're always trying to predict what you got to do, what you got to say, how you got to behave in order to keep the peace on the outside.
Yeah. How people are going to react. And
yeah,
that's not your problem, how other people react. You know,
it's not yours.
It has nothing to do with you.
Absolutely.
But we used to own it and make it our problem, and we're in fight or flight now, you know?
Well, and what happens was when you make it yours, so to speak, in that fight or flight, the other people around you allow it to be yours.
Yes.
They don't change their behaviors. They don't think that they're doing anything wrong or could say something in a different way that wouldn't throw you off into that eggshells and fight or flight because you've accepted it as yours.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the big thing about the boundaries is when you don't accept that as yours,
Mm-hmm.
people are forced just because they have to, they want to have a conversation or they want to have a relationship with you. They have to decide whether they're going to change or not.
Right.
Or they're going to do it, not change, but they're going to do it differently. So it doesn't set off your.
Yeah. And if they don't change, then I think that's where you start to realize, well, maybe this person isn't for me.
Exactly.
This relationship isn't working for me.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
That is just a natural evolution of growth.
Yes.
And all relationships, whether it's friendships, family, partnerships, it takes constant work. We've talked about that before.
Yes.
Nothing just like rides smooth out into the sunset. There's constant shifting because people are evolving and changing into different parts of life. Like for us with midlife, there's all these other things.
Oh my gosh.
Right. And career changes and kids leaving. And so you have to be able to dance with the people around you, not out of fear.
Yeah. But out of choice.
Choice and love.
Yeah.
And compassion and staying flexible, but not completely allowing yourself to be gone.
Yeah.
Right. Without losing yourself completely. How many times did you, some of those things that you didn't want to go to, but went anyway, how drained were you after the experience? Would you just get home and be like, oh my God?
Yeah. And then you're in a bad mood, and then you probably pick a fight with the person who made you go.
You chose to go.
Yeah. What was the point anyway? If you had just said from the beginning, yeah, I think I'm going to sit this out.
I'm going to just stay in my jam. Like sometimes if I go or obligation, you come home and then I need so much downtime after that because I just throw my whole system out of whack because I didn't want to be there anyway.
Yeah. And then let's talk about people that drain you, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I had so many people that drained me, you know, in my 30s and my 40s. I had no idea.
But you also didn't know how to say no to that.
No. And I didn't know that that was happening. I had no idea that these people were just sucking the life out of me. Right? Yeah. And not to say anything bad about anybody, but it just, some people just really take more from you.
That's actually an energetic thing.
Yes. They take
more. And some people aren't aware of it, but there are such a thing as energetic vampires.
Yeah.
Where they don't know how to create their own energy. They don't produce it for whatever reason. So they touch on people and they take their, because you have good vibes. So they want your good vibes.
Yeah.
And then your barometer goes down and you feel
just drained. Yeah. Drained.
But they feel great.
Yeah.
So there's that, but there's also energetic parasites.
Oh yeah.
So someone who doesn't necessarily siphon all your energy out, but they share your energy.
Yeah.
I'm super sensitive to that. I get all like,
yeah.
And some people don't mind.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't know that it's a conscious thing, but you are aware of it because it is energy. But some people don't mind that sharing. I'm very like sacred space, my energy. You can't have it.
Yeah.
I can share mine with you if I choose, right? Or we're interacting. But yeah.
I'm still working on that. I've become more aware of that, but I'm still working on it.
I think you're very aware of it now.
You think so?
I don't think you can voice it at the time.
Yeah.
But you're just like, well, I gotta get out here.
Okay.
Or,
maybe that's,
if you're talking to someone, say at a party, and you're like,
okay, I do that now. So that's what, okay. So then I ask.
Versus the person who gradually say, let me tell you, I subconsciously nowhere. And you would sit there and be like, yeah, okay. So, okay. Right.
Yeah.
And you don't do that.
No.
So that's a big thing. What are some other ways? Oh, I like this one. Avoiding conflict at the expense of truth. We've all done it. We don't want to get into it, even though we know our truth. We don't speak our truth, keeping the peace again.
Yes.
And it will always turn around and bite you in the butt.
Yeah. I've done that in all relationships.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we've all done that in every relationship, whether it's your friend, your husband, your kids.
Yes.
You don't want the fight. You just, okay, fine. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and say it. Go ahead and go. And you regret it later.
I was going to say, the cost of that later, whether you create this domino effect because they've taken that one thing and now they're taking it further because they've assumed your truth or you're okay with something, and it will always bite you in the butt. It's that kindness versus being nice.
Yeah.
You can speak truth and kindness.
Yes.
And then it's not yours how they receive it. It's not yours.
Yeah.
Those are really important. And I think that those of us that tend to be people pleasers, we're used to being nice. Right?
Yeah.
That was when I started to being able to differentiate what kind it is. I can still keep my tone and I can still be pleasant, but the truth is seeping out of my words.
Yeah.
It's gotten to the point now where you can hear my truth, like, don't test me.
Yeah.
But I'm still nice. I'm still smiling.
Me too.
So it is an art, but please try to start practicing truth kindly, but speak your truth.
Yes.
Just, it doesn't have to be aggressive or put off. Typically when we're pushing people away verbally is because we've had enough. We've let them come too close within our boundaries. But if we can practice it while you're out here,
Yeah.
I don't feel that need to shove you away.
Yes.
Verbally, I mean. So where does people pleasing come from?
I think for me, it came from just childhood, the way that I was brought up to be a nice, proper young lady.
Be a lady. Look like a lady.
Look like a lady. Act like a lady. Don't be loud. You be nice. Smile. Just, it's constant. You just be what everybody else wants you to be. Forget about what you want. Forget about what you need. Just make sure that you're everything to everyone.
The patient thing when you're younger. You're seen, but you're not hurt. Don't have any dirt on you.
Yeah.
Your back is straight in this, but don't get into an intellectual conversation with someone. You're just there to grab someone a drink or to make sure everybody's had a plate.
Yeah. Or to look nice.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. That's where it comes from.
Well, it's a societal.
Yes.
It's not even nurturing, but the caregiving.
Yes.
So the moms, the daughters, right? It's always the daughters that are helping in the kitchen.
Yeah.
You know, making sure people are comfortable. Friends, right? The girl friendships, even the frenemies. Like it's always, you're doing it with a smile on your face, even though you know that girl, I hate you. Right?
Yeah.
Or they're throwing daggers, but you're still smiling.
Yeah.
That's where frenemies came from, folks. I'm telling you. And then the dutiful daughter. Don't talk bad. Don't cause stress. Don't cause me stress. Women are that route as far as the societal roles of what is
acceptable.
Acceptable.
Because a man can say no all day long, but not a woman. She's a bitch.
Correct.
She's a bitch if she doesn't agree with you, if she's not friendly and smiley, and yes, if she's a little bit more assertive.
If she has
for a woman, assertive is aggressive. It's not assertive.
Right.
So
there's a huge differentiation. You'll know when I get aggressive. Yeah. It doesn't happen very often. Being assertive is just like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Or, oh, you know what? That's not true. I just read this research, but it's not coming at you.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with what we were talking about with power. Power is not aggressive. It's not asserting dominance over someone. It's your own personal space.
Yes.
Of just being able to keep everybody out here and allowing your frequency to rise and for people to be able to feel your own authenticity within that space. It's undeniable.
Yeah.
Like you've seen people walk into a room. And it's not like, oh, I want to know that person, but there's a charisma. I've read it.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And whether that person wants to speak to you or not, you can feel that in a room. And that's where I want all the women to be, is just our own little magnets. And no, you're not going to be for everyone, but it's okay.
Yeah. We're not for
everyone. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm fine with it.
So it goes both ways. There might be some people that want to interact with me, but I don't care for whatever reason. But then there's the people that I gravitate to. And it's all okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not everybody needs to like you.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing for us.
Yeah.
We were raised, you have to be likable.
Yeah. Everybody has to like you or you're doing something wrong.
Right. If someone doesn't like you,
it's you.
It's you.
There's something about you that has to change.
And that's not true. It's not true.
That's not true. Yeah.
It's never been true. Do you think that people pleasers or that we please because we're afraid of rejection?
Of course.
Do you think that does that go across all rounds of like, yes, it does. Friendship, work.
Yes.
Even your kids.
And again, it goes back to, do you love yourself? Because if somebody doesn't like you, yeah, it might be disappointing, but it's not going to destroy you.
No.
So,
because you like you.
Yeah. But before we like ourselves, yes, it was, I'm afraid this person's not going to like me because that means something's wrong with me. Right? It has to be me. It can't be them. But then you start to realize, wait a minute, it's not me. It is them. And I'm just not for them. And that's okay.
When do you think that happened for you? Like, was that a little bit later?
Oh, definitely later. I want to say late 40s. Late 40s. Yeah.
I would say mine started probably in my late 30s, very early 40s. And I think that was a little bit of because I was always coming into contact with people, whether it was hands-on or in a healthcare facility. So there's all like the caregiving.
Yeah.
And having to be able to stand your ground. And
yeah.
You don't people please when it's like protecting your tribe. If someone's coming out when you're a therapist, this or that, you have to be able to put that in. So I learned that, but only because it was in the business atmosphere.
Yeah, you had to.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I probably carried that over into my personal life.
Yeah. I think that you started younger because you had to.
Yeah.
You had to. Yeah.
But I definitely wasn't necessarily conditioned.
Yeah. I was not.
Right.
I guess I had to as well in my late 40s because I was just so tired of so many things around me that I did not want anymore, but still were there because I was people pleasing. I didn't know how to say no. And I didn't care anymore if they didn't like me.
That's the breaking point, though, right?
Yeah.
Just, you're exhausted by your own mind.
Exhausted.
I'm exhausted with myself. I'm exhausted with my patterning.
Something's got to give.
I got to do something different.
Yeah, something's got to give. And that's when I changed.
Taking that from, you got to do this differently, or you got to, the person on the outside, if you would only do this, none of it works.
And then you realize you're in control of your life. You can choose who you want in your life. You can choose what you want to do. It's okay. It doesn't make you a bitch. It just makes you be honest with yourself and be authentic. That's it. That's all it means. It doesn't mean you're a bad person.
No.
But nobody told us that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So we're telling you this.
We're telling you this now. And offer the younger and even the older like you.
To my daughter, to all my daughter's friends and all the young women out there. You don't have to please everybody. Just be happy with yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And what will naturally come in and be attracted towards you are like-minded, like energy type people. And there are no eggshells. You can honestly tell someone like, oh, that shirt doesn't look good on you. And they're actually going to take it because you want them to look their best.
Right. You're coming from a good place. Yeah, you're coming from a good place. And a good way of knowing if that's somebody that you do want in your life is if they take it well. If they think you're judging them or hating on them or you're jealous of them,
they're not in a good place.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
And it also depends on how you say it. I mean, there's some
obviously
relationships where you can rib each other, or you're at a place where you're like, don't wear that doesn't look good.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be like, oh,
yeah,
it's because I don't want you to go out like that.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, you know?
Yeah.
That's just one example, but it's with everything. Like I would come to someone if I were concerned about the way I might have seen someone treat them, coming from a observation, but like, what does that mean to you if you are allowing that person to speak to you like that?
Yeah.
And just give a moment of the opportunity for self-reflection, because that's just kind of me anyway.
Yeah.
But it's always done a kindness. You're better than that. You are not better than that in the sense that
you're so great.
You're so great, but you should have higher self-worth than that.
Yes.
It's not in a critical meaning. It's everybody should have that self-worth. No one should have to take a certain way of treatment.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it's verbal, especially abusive, but all of it is walking on eggshells, throwing off your nervous system.
Yeah.
You, like Marv said, you are in control of that.
You are
completely 100%.
And when you realize that, it's amazing.
What does things shift instantly, don't they?
Yeah, it's amazing.
There's just like this. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't.
I haven't for a long time.
But I also think that practicing it is
Yeah.
hard. Like you might do it
In
once
the
because you're
beginning,
just
I think it's hard to kind of practice it, but it becomes second nature.
does.
It does. You're
That's
just
where the
like,
peace
I'm not
comes
doing that, or
Where's
I'm not going.
things?
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not
No,
going
thank
there.
you.
Yeah, I'm okay. Thanks.
How do you step out of all the roles that we've created? Right? I call it coming home to yourself. Like I'm still a mom. You're still a wife. Was there a time where you were able to identify yourself as a whole? This is who I am. And these are the things that I do. But being able to separate the incorporation of, I've got a lot of self-worth out of being a good physical therapist or being a business owner. It's all ego. The perception of being a good mom based on what other people think of you.
Yeah.
At what point or how do you start separating that? Because you want to grow your base.
Yeah.
And then just realize like all of these things, the kindness, the compassion, the intuition makes me a good therapist, but I'm not a therapist, right? It's this going back to your list and your base. Well, what makes you a good mom? Well, I'm very intuitive and I leave space for emotional growth. And those things make me a good mom.
Yeah.
But I'm not just a mom.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not just a therapist anymore. That was a really hard distinction for me. And I had to really rein it in. Talking to myself differently. No, this is your core.
Yeah.
Here's your essence. I call it, so to speak. It's Chrissie soup. You've got Marva soup.
I love that.
And everybody's flavor is a little different. And sometimes the spices change, but they're very similar.
Yeah.
Depending on what part of life you're at. But those things about you allow you to be good at whatever role that you think is wrong or worth it.
Right.
So dialing that back to you again.
Okay. Ask me again.
Was there a time that you figured out the separation part?
When
When all your worth wasn't being a mom and being a wife.
Yeah.
Right?
I think, again, it goes back to when I had my health crisis and I wasn't able to do any of the things that I could normally do, like be a mom. I literally could not make a meal for my family. I couldn't drive my kids to school. I couldn't do their laundry. So the part that I was so proud of being a mom, I wasn't doing any of those things. I couldn't physically do it. I was in so much physical pain.
So did you have to sit and ask yourself while you were laying face down flat, well, then what am I? I can't do any of these things.
Well, I'll tell you where I realized those things aren't important, because my daughter, actually, it was a moment with her where it was kind of towards the end, right before I met you, and I was moving a little bit more, and I was forcing myself to at least be on the driveway when she walked home from school, because they were close enough to walk home.
Yeah.
And I was limping already. And so I forced myself to lift to the driveway, and I could see her coming, and I was just waiting for her and hugged her. And I said, how was school? And I just felt really bad that she was walking, and I expressed that to her. I said, I'm so sorry that you have to walk and that I can't be there for you. And she said, Mom, the fact that you're just here when I get home is enough. And I just realized in that moment, it's not even everything that I do for them. It's just that it's me. They just want me.
That's huge.
Yeah. And yeah, that really helped me, because I was really struggling with not being able to do everything I could do for them normally.
Well, and part of that is just the physical struggle of not doing, I think. But part of that's because so much of your identity was in the things that you did.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah. And it was in that time of my health crisis that I started to not only see that it didn't matter what I couldn't do for the people that loved me, they still loved me.
Yeah.
They still wanted to be there with me. I had my best friend come and sit by my bedside. My brothers sat by my bedside, and how boring was it to watch TV with me for an hour, and I couldn't even sit with them and watch TV, but they would come to see me or bring me things, and I just realized, yeah, I can't go out with my best friend to have lunch or drinks, but here she is. So she wasn't there just for the fun and the drinks. There she was right next to me.
Just for you.
Just for me.
That's amazing.
My brothers were there, my kids, my husband, my God, I mean, talk about not being able to be a mother. I wasn't being a wife. I couldn't do anything. And I mean, nothing. And that was really, really hard for me. But there he was right by my side, trying to find somebody that could help me. But yeah, it took something so terrible that took everything I thought that made me to realize I'm not those things. I am me. I'm love. I'm comfort to my kids,
Do you think that was part of the moment where you started claiming your personal power?
Absolutely. That was the time when all of it began for me. Like this whole thing began for me. But I mean, I hate to say it, but I don't know if it would have happened without that. That's so scary.
Something else would have come along, I'm sure.
I hope so. I guess maybe because I was so distracted then, because the kids were still young. The business was growing. You're probably right. But, but it happened, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that it happened.
Yeah, and it's about taking those, in some ways, horrible moments and being able to find the lesson
and the gratitude.
Good.
Yeah,
the gratitude.
The gratitude
that came from it. So therefore, you can have gratitude.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't self-reflect much, none of that happens.
Yeah.
And that's where all the magic happens.
Yeah. I'm so grateful.
It does. All the magic happens when those are the moments that the little pieces of power, personal power, come back. And as that more things happen to you, not necessarily bad, but you start seeing things differently.
Yes.
You start claiming your power a little bit more, saying no, just no thank you without the explanation.
Yeah.
Right? That's not going to work out. That's a little bit of claiming your personal power.
Yeah.
Because you've stepped out of caring more about what other people think than your own wellness and well-being.
Yeah.
And that's a huge shift into personal power. And usually, because people think, oh, you've got to do all of this. No, it's the little moments. It's the little, I'm going to take care of myself. And I don't mean like spas and this, although those help, right? Massages, self-nurturing.
Yeah.
But it's the little pieces throughout the day.
Yeah.
Taking back your power. And then you start noticing it becomes second nature.
Yeah, it does.
And there's always the next thing. But it sure does feel good to be in a place where I don't have to think about saying no.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't have to think about, gosh, I really don't want to do something today, even though it's on my list. It just gets bumped.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. Like, I don't stress over it. I don't fret over it. Oh my gosh, what are people going to think?
Yeah.
None of it.
No.
It's just not there anymore.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing is you let go of other people's approval as currency.
Mm-hmm.
So other people's approval is no longer a measurement of
Of your
worth.
worth. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And when that happens, man, the whole world opens up for you.
Oh, yeah. Because it's only what you're thinking, what's going on in your spirit, your soul, your connection to God. Yeah. That's what matters. It's the voice inside your own head. That's the only thing that matters.
Right. Right. And so, we did an episode on how to shift that voice in your head. And so this is a continuation of practicing that. The voice in your head, you could be scared of approval, but as you start going, no, this is something that I can't do or I can do because this is where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Life gets easier. You don't have to think about saying no so much.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about, is that going to be good for me or not good for me?
Yeah. Because you're listening to yourself.
So the knowing comes.
Yeah. You automatically nod. I'm okay. Thanks.
The intuition starts to not even speak. It's always been there, but you hear it more.
Yeah.
It's like more on the surface, I guess is a good way to say.
Yeah.
And that's also incredible because I think that a lot of the emotions that I feel in bodies, particularly around low back pain, which is like the number one thing that people go to physical therapy for.
Mm-hmm.
The given used to be, it was about money struck.
Mm-hmm.
But then I actually really started asking people who were that home caregivers, who weren't the main breadwinners in their family.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what is it then?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Are they worried about the finances of the family? And what started coming up over and over again is that the low back represents your unit of measurement of worth. And so for a lot of women, their unit of measurement of worth is actually approval.
Yeah.
Hence the people pleasing. So being able to target in on that and then saying, no, the only approval I need is my own.
Mm-hmm.
That's a direct segue into doing some of your work around finding your voice, quieting the voice in your head, and allowing God to speak instead, which is really your intuition.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't stress that enough. It's like, whose approval? How is that going to matter?
It doesn't matter.
How is the approval of anyone?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
How does that change your life in the positive for any way?
Right.
Other than maybe your ego feels good for a split second.
Right.
And then it's gone.
Yeah.
And you're back to walking on eggshells. You're back to being worried about what other people think.
And you're back to regretting doing certain things that you shouldn't have done.
And it's just not sustainable.
Yeah, it's not.
Definitely not. And I think that that's why sometimes the tipping point ends up being midlife, is because we've just had enough.
We've had enough.
And
we had enough.
most of it
Damn
is,
it.
like you said,
Yeah.
it's being exhausted with your own life.
Yeah. I felt exhausted. That's for sure. And my body was telling me.
Well, yeah. And for you, it had to take like a physical.
Yeah.
And for me, I could feel the culmination of all of it. I felt like I've always had a direct connection to God and that my intuition's been very strong. But when I started questioning it or I couldn't hear it because my mental and my physical, but they were so overloaded that it tuned out my spiritual. Yeah, that was a pretty low point.
Yeah, same.
And it started with the spiritual had to come first. I had to do the spiritual work to open up that.
The line of communication back to
Before I
yourself.
could do anything else. Like
Yeah.
emotional didn't get better. The mental didn't get better. My physical definitely didn't get better until I sat with my spiritual and called it back.
Yeah, same.
So that's where like the four bodies are always intertwined. And you can start with physical, but you're never going to feel that good. You're never going to lose the weight. You're never going to get rid of whatever autoimmune disease is brewing because you don't have a connection
Yeah,
to the universe, to God.
yeah.
Right. And so I can't stress that enough, where yes, everything happens all at once, but you got to go to the spiritual.
You have to.
And I think the rest happen quicker if you
start there. But a lot of us don't even know that.
I know.
So that's very difficult. And that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and if you guys have questions about the verbiage that we're using, like, what does that mean when you say that? Drop a comment or DM me, email us, and we'll do a follow-up with questions, maybe after the season. That might be a really good idea.
Yeah.
Any of the episodes with a question and an answer.
Yeah, because like I said, in my 40s, I still didn't know what the heck we're talking about right now. So I can totally understand that people might be watching and going, what the hell are they talking about?
Well, but like, we're talking about the
Yeah.
people pleasing in this, and it resonates with you,
Mhm.
then let us help you get to that place where the aha moment comes on and then the rest of it starts making sense. Because that's why we started this whole segment, is to help all the other sisters out there. We're all going through a lot of the same thing.
Yeah, we are.
And we need to help each other and prop each other up, because we are the answer to the world.
Yeah.
I mean, our children are the next ones going up. And so we have to help each other.
Yeah.
And so you're not alone. And even if parts of it resonate, but you didn't get something, let us know. We'll try to come up with a way to express it, or I'll do an episode where we have some exercises or whatnot. Probably not till next season. I will start being able to offer some exercises.
Awesome.
Not quite workshops, but things that will help you move through the episodes with ease.
Yeah.
If you decide, like, I kind of want to go deeper into that.
Yeah.
There'll be something there, whether it's a worksheet or an exercise or something that you could do. And then we'd still love to hear what you have to say about it.
Yeah.
But you're just not alone, you know?
You're not alone. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Got you, girl.
Well, I know in some of the postings I've done, I've got comments where people are like, wow, it's really hard to find female friends. Or they do feel very alone. And so this is a way, sort of virtually, to feel like you've got people. Because we are your
like-minded people.
Yeah. And we can be your people, even though it's so far.
Yeah.
And to not stop trying, because the more you do your work, as your vibration shifts, other people with like vibration start to be attracted to that.
Yeah.
So people say, oh, it's so hard to meet people. Just keep getting out there and putting yourself in situations where the things you like to do that resonate with you, because that's where the other people are.
Yeah. And once you go down that road, you automatically will be drawn to more people that kind of help that journey. Like after I met you, then I met Guadalupe.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then Rosario, and then it goes on and on and on.
I think that God starts putting more of those people into your life, not the same type, but things that complement it, so that you can choose to expand your growth.
Yeah. You continue to grow.
And I've set out, whether it's Qigong or done certain energy, subconscious living belief systems. I've done a little bit of that, which is fascinating. And so just being open to it, it will draw the right people towards you.
Yeah.
Because I do think that God's helping in that sense. He doesn't just, like, sprinkle fairy dust on you. So he puts people in your life and opportunities for situations or interactions that, if you're paying attention and you're brave enough to step into it, even if it's a little uncomfortable, but knowing that it's something you need to do, it will just expand your growth.
And you'll know.
So was there a real life moment where you realized, damn, this is costing me by people pleasing? Like the exchange? When did you realize the exchange, like, this exchange is so not worth it?
I know that when I was younger, I was in a terrible relationship.
Right.
Terrible. Abusive relationship with somebody. And I thought, first of all, that was normal and that's what I deserved. And
which had a man.
Yeah, I had a man, girl. I had him.
That was the last one.
That's hilarious. Yes, you're right. But I had a man because that's what I was supposed to do. And I think I was in the relationship for close to 4 years. And, the abuse got worse with year after year. And my self-esteem just went worse and worse and worse with every passing day. And there just came a moment when I just realized, this can't be it. This can't be right. There's got to be better people out there, better men. And I just realized that I got to have a man in my life because that's what I was programmed to have. It wasn't worth it. Yeah, he was just breathing, he was just breathing. And I just realized it's not worth it, doing what I think I'm supposed to be doing. And at the time I was trying to please my mom because she wanted me to have a man and get married and have a family. And it's like, I just realized this is not the way to go. You don't just let somebody pick you. I get to pick.
Yes.
And this guy had picked me. I think he could see me coming because I was so ready to please. And yeah, there just came a moment where I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. There has to be something better.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I don't care who gets mad that this is ending or, especially him, because he didn't want it to end. But yeah.
But no, I mean, you were surfing.
But yeah, I mean, I was in a bad relationship when I was very young because I was people pleasing. And that will never happen to me again, ever.
Well, and I had something happen to me that was super unexpected because it was the last relationship I was in. And it was someone that was a childhood friend and that we had been friends from, I don't know, 8 all the way up. And there was an opportunity for us to date where neither of us were dating or married. And so I don't know that we had a ton in common, but like we just had that friendship throughout the years and not everyday friendship. So I gave it a go. And there was a point in time where I started kind of walking on eggshells. I didn't feel like myself. I'll just put it that way. And I came to the conclusion that this, it wasn't right for me. But it was what happened after that was an aha moment for me. I was looking at it and I was like, well, why was I dating this person? Why? And even a little, I think he moved on pretty quickly. So there was a little bit of weird jealousy, but I was the one who ended it knowing it wasn't good for me. And I feel like I'm so in this place, I know. But I had this, it almost took me back to high school.
Yeah.
And so when I sat with that and said, who is this having a temper tantrum right now? My 16-year-old came up. And I don't know if any of you have ever done work with like going back to your phases in life of the child of when a pattern or when an issue came up, because that issue still stays a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
And I realized, much like you, like I thought you were supposed to be picked. So, and I don't know where that came from. I just thought people were supposed to pick you. And I don't know that you didn't have a choice, but then you're supposed to just give it a go because they chose you.
Yeah.
And so
you're doing something right. You got chosen. So this must be right.
So weird because my 50-year-old self is like, what is this?
Yeah.
There shouldn't be any emotion about it. It was just a parting of ways and it wasn't going to work. So what is coming up?
Yeah.
And I sat and I pictured my 16-year-old and she was insecure and she definitely wanted to be picked and she didn't pick great people, men, boys at that age who were going to treat her well. And I realized that the picking thing for me has to do with people pleasing because you want to be picked.
Yeah.
You want to be liked.
Yes.
Whatever that is.
You want to be wanted.
Yeah. But it kind of didn't matter if I wanted it.
Right.
Or
or it was good for you.
No, it was just somebody got picked.
Somebody picked you.
You won.
Yeah.
What is that? So I sat with my 16-year-old and I went, oh, okay, let's put a crown on. I'll put a little crown on you. And I promised her that from now on, we would do all the picking. I promised myself, like you did that point, like, no, you will do all the picking.
Never again.
Never again.
Never again.
It was profound.
Yeah.
I can't even explain it because I did clearly see the long hair, who I was as a 16-year-old, and the low self-worth when it came to dating.
Yeah.
It wasn't everywhere. It was really in that dating sector. And some of it's cultural.
Yeah.
Some of it is just that whole like, you got to be picked. You got to be pretty.
Yeah. For me, it's cultural for sure.
Yeah. But it's also when that profound shift happens, you will never go back. That's what I meant by like, I couldn't, if I wanted to, date someone that was interested in me, that I wasn't. I was like, well, we could see where it goes.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
It's not possible. So I'm grateful for that because that was, I don't know, I was 51. It wasn't, this wasn't like a long time ago.
Right.
It was just something that needed to be healed for the past. That I had this opportunity, the universe gave me this opportunity to clear it up. So I was grateful for it. And I tend to look at all relationships, friendships, partnerships. I look back and I always do the work of what did I learn? Because I don't think you regret if you can pick the things you learn, because you can be grateful for what you learn. Right. And so you don't bash on the other person. You're not, oh, that person was so this, because you're at peace, because you gained something from that. I learned XYZ and that made me further along on my journey or made me a better person in this way. And then
I'm sorry, I still bash on that person.
Well, you had every right. That was that was awful. That was extreme.
And it's okay to to bash if they're
It was-
terrible.
It was
people.
extreme. But also
Yeah.
but the difference there is that you've owned your part of that
Yeah,
and that you allowed it
I did. Yeah.
and you can forgive yourself for it because you just didn't know me better.
No. Mm-mm.
Right.
Hadn't seen anything better. Didn't know anything better.
And so I don't know, it feels kind of heavy, but like that regaining that personal power,
Mhm.
even if it's just your 16-year-old, your 3-year-old, your 40-year-old right now, you're 50, like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter when,
Mhm.
just start. Because it'll keep unraveling.
Yeah.
It keeps getting better. It just keeps getting better.
Yeah. It's never too late.
Not at all.
No.
Okay, so just to end it with a lighter tone,
Okay.
what's one of the weirdest things you said yes to?
Can we come back to me?
What was weird?
I never did anything weird. I just was constantly putting myself in uncomfortable situations because I couldn't be honest and say, no, thanks. Yeah.
And did they really care?
Probably not. Probably not. I mean, this one person, it took years for her to stop inviting me to things after I started saying no. I mean, I'm talking a decade of no.
Well,
no,
you know,
no.
you have that
So-
magnetic vibration.
Oh gosh.
She was probably just
That was it.
attracted.
Yeah, that was it. But nothing weird for me. Something weird for you?
No, my boundaries started coming on at least outside of the house pretty early on. I just didn't have time for any of the BS. I actually didn't have time to accept a lot of. So I don't say it was an excuse, but time permitting, I didn't have a lot of time to say yes when I meant no
Yeah.
because I didn't have time to do it.
Yeah.
It was more trying to squeeze out the yeses than
Yeah.
I really wanted to and trying to work my life or my schedule around
Yeah.
trying to attend something. Have I attended stuff, out of obligation? Sure. But I think
That's
when I sit with
different.
myself
Yeah.
and I say, is this something you want to do? Even though it doesn't sound like that, but that you need and want to do. So I
Yeah.
make sure I clarify that
Yeah, that's different.
to myself.
That's different.
Well, that's a good thing that
It is a good thing.
Super
Yeah.
weird.
We've never been weird. We've just been saying yes to a lot of things that we should have said no to.
And so like normalizing that awkwardness by setting your boundaries early and just
Mhm.
saying, gosh, no, thank you.
Yeah.
You don't have to go through all the like,
Oh, I think I'm busy, or I'm like, we have a thing.
or sitting with a party where like you really have nothing to say to anyone.
Yeah.
So you just kind of sit there and
Yeah, can't wait to leave.
avoid all of it. You don't need to do it.
Yeah.
What's your biggest win? Date, they say.
My biggest win to date, again, I'm just going to go back to peace.
Peace.
The peace that I live with. And again, it's not constant. I don't have this mastered. It's a everyday practicing this. My husband and I were talking about this recently and about, for me, it's spirituality. And he said, well, you're definitely further along spiritually than I am. And he said, if you want, I'll go to church with you. And I said, oh no, I'm okay. I don't need to go to church. Like, God is right here with me. He's not even a thing. He's a feeling.
Mhm.
So for me, the win is that I just always feel, even if I'm not at peace, I can find it pretty quickly if I just go off and just connect to God. I just be quiet, be still, pray, whatever it is that I need to do. That's a huge win for me because I couldn't find peace before in any way. And now I have a way to find peace.
Well, it's really
Yeah. It is really nice.
right.
Yeah.
I would say my biggest win to date is the battle I have with myself over perfectionism. Because I'm a doer, right? So I will do it until it's dead, even though I know, okay, you've had enough, but I've got it finished.
Yeah.
Right. So
Which is not the worst quality you could have. I think that's pretty cool, actually.
no, but it's also knowing, like I said, anything good to the extreme can also tip over to
It can,
negative.
but I don't think it's
So-
becoming negative for you.
I
Or
think
that's
that-
what you've changed. That's what.
That's what I think I've changed.
Okay.
Is, I was just diehard perfectionist. And so, perfectionism is actually a lack of self-worth. So knowing when to be like, okay, I'm going to call it done. Whether it's for the night or, I
Yeah.
just want to get this, I'm a finisher. I gotta finish the project.
Yeah.
Even if the project is shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge ease on my own brain.
Yeah.
Of like, finish it all call.
Yeah. Your peace.
In his peace.
Back to your peace. Yes.
Right?
Mhm.
Where you can say, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Or I'm good with it not of calling it. I
Yeah.
say, that's not going to work. Just
Yeah.
call it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Without ruminating over it.
Yeah.
And saying, oh, but if you just do this or you tweak it it's the same thing with relationships. If you do it like this, you
Yeah.
tweak it like that, maybe it'll work. No. When
I've
your
seen
gut
you.
says no-
I've seen you do that the last year or two.
Yeah, when your gut
Yeah.
says no.
You're calling it and you're at
Calling it.
peace.
Yeah, and there's no
Yeah.
It's like you let it go.
You totally let it go.
minute you
Yeah.
say done.
Yeah.
Stop.
And then you don't talk about it anymore. I have to say that I have seen that in you the last few years. When you've called it, you're done. I've seen it. It's pretty cool. I'm like, she's done. Yeah, I've seen that in you the last few years.
That's good.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else for today?
I don't think so.
Or for the close season 1 out, I do have something. So if you guys liked any of my jewelry that I'm wearing, typically I'm wearing, my sister is a artist and she has a site called Touch of Wonder Designs and she's amazing.
Mhm.
And so you'll see most of the jewelry that I'm wearing, if not all, is her original pieces. So check it out, Touch of Wonder Designs. Well, shout out to my sis because she is amazing.
Nice.
So our shift has ended for today, for the season. We'll be back in August. This conversation is still just beginning. So here's your midlife reminder. You don't have to shrink to be loved. You don't have to betray yourself to be accepted. And you damn sure don't have to earn your worth. It was never up for negotiation. We'd love to hear your stories. Drop comments, send us a DM, or share this with someone who's ready to step into their own power. Until next time, stay curious, stay real, and keep shifting.
Stay tuned.